You are tuned into the DNVR Rockies podcast brought to you by Bet365. Use code DNVR365 when you sign up. Choose your offer and find out why it is never ordinary with Bet365. Well, folks, we have a very special show today with a very special guest on the DNVR Rockies podcast. It is the Rockies' top prospect, Charlie Condon. Charlie, thank you, first of all, for being on the show. Welcome.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'm excited. Look, man, I ever since you got drafted, I've been super pumped to get the chance to sit down and talk with you because I love the way that you played ball out at Georgia, and now getting to see you in the Rockies organization, it's going to be super cool. I got to ask you, though, I mean, it's been a whirlwind of a month. I think your final game with Georgia was on, like the 10th of June, and then you kind of jumped right into playing ball with the Indians. Is it still as hectic as it's been, or are things starting to kind of find a rhythm now?
No, it's settled down a little bit now. You get into that draft process and things are going really fast and you don't really know, when you're going to get to play ball again, which is really what it's all about. The draft process is fun, but really for me, I'm just most excited about getting out and playing baseball again. So once I got out to the complex in Arizona and put some names to faces out there and then sent out here to Spokane, it's been good. Things have slowed down a little bit and back to playing baseball, which is good.
Yeah, look, man, I know there's a lot of hype for you, not only in Spokane, but also here in Denver, which is, one of the reasons we wanted to have you here on the show. Speaking of the hype, though, when you had your first at bat with Spokane, I think it was at Geesis Stadium, everyone in the press box at the Rockies game, we all tuned in, we were all watching your first at bat, and I got to say, your first swing, like the camera, when you hit that ball, the camera panned up super fast as if it was going to go 500 feet out to left field. And all of us were sitting there like, oh my God, he just hit a home run in his first at bat. I know it ended up being a fly out to left field. Did you feel like, was there a moment where you thought, holy crap, that ball might get out of here?
No, not really. I mean, I could kind of tell that one beat me in a little bit. It was a good swing, but just got in on me a little bit. I knew that one didn't really deserve to go out, but it was, just fun to have that first at bat.
Yeah, oh, totally. Well, and it speaks to the excitement that Rockies fans have, and you're very familiar with this. The Rockies organization, we're all looking towards kind of the future of what the next generation of Rocky stars is going to be. So, in that theme, there's obviously a lot of pressure that comes with that, the top pick, top prospect for the Rockies organization. How do you, as a player, a young player, kind of manage those expectations and stay grounded with all of that hype?
Yeah, for me, it's always kind of just been about holding myself to the same standard, no matter where I've been. Coming through Georgia when I was first there, I didn't have a lot of expectations on myself, but I still held myself to a high standard to be the best baseball player I could. And so as things got, progressed more along and I started to have some more expectations around me, just kind of having that same mentality that I'm always going to expect the most out of myself more than anybody expects out of me is kind of how I keep everything kind of the same as I continue to progress. Just hold myself to a high standard no matter what. So I've been doing that for a while now. And so just, relying on that internal expectation to push me.
Well, I would imagine that your time at Georgia probably helped shape that as well. Talk to me a little bit about your years playing at Georgia. You had a lot of success there. How did that shape you into the player that you are today?
Yeah, just my time at the University of Georgia, like from start to finish, like I don't really think could have gone any better. I mean, obviously people talk about me not playing my freshman year and things like that, but just the experience I got that year just can't really be quantified for me just because I got to sit around and be around a bunch of veteran SEC players that have been playing the game for so long and see how they went about it while without getting kind of thrown into the fire right away. So that year was big for me, and then continuing to move forward, just having a role in an SEC program is about the best thing you can ask for at the college baseball world. And so just, getting to represent that university too was something that I'll always be proud of and cherish. But just yeah, there was a lot of fun times there. And I'm thankful for it.
Yeah, I would imagine that the baseball team probably got overshadowed a little bit by Georgia football. But did you feel like that kind of motivated you and the rest of the team? Being on such a powerhouse SEC team, a college like Georgia, and getting to kind of compete against the football fan base as well. Did that motivate you to have the success that you guys as a team had?
No, 100%. Obviously Georgia football's reputation and fan base is completely deserved, and there's nothing you can take away from that. But I think it just goes to show how big Dog Nation is, and how many people there are out there that are really truly supportive of all UGA sports. It's easier to pull for a team that's doing well. And so I think that's kind of where we started to make strides this year, was trying to turn that baseball program around to draw some of that football crowd back out to other sports. And so, that's kind of what it was all about. And so just kind of pushing to, I mean, when we're in fall ball and we're going to football games, and just seeing that atmosphere and what's brought to the table when you're playing good ball in whatever sport it is, it's motivating for us to go out and be like, hey, if we make a run and do what we did and like bring a super back to us. It was really cool to see how different our stadium looks just once we started winning some ball games and bringing the postseason back to us. It was awesome.
Yeah. Oh, totally. Well, and look, man, you're 6'6". I'm sure you've heard it before. You're built like a tight end. Has football ever been a consideration for you? I mean, you grew up in Georgia. Was that ever like, hey, maybe one day I'll play football instead, or was baseball kind of the go-to since you were young?
Man, in like early high school, like early recruiting process, I wasn't having a ton of baseball interest, and so I was kind of trying to look at going to like a D3 academic and playing quarterback in baseball somewhere. But I never really had any interest at playing football at too high of a level. I wasn't particularly good, and I wasn't particularly interested in going out there and getting rocked every weekend. But just it was something that I miss. I miss the games. I miss high school, but definitely not at a school like Georgia would I have ever been capable of playing football at the next level.
Hey, we appreciate that you stuck with baseball and kept your talents on the baseball side. Let's kind of talk about that specifically. So I know right now, you're listed, on your player profile. You can play outfield, third base, first base. But I want to hear from your perspective. Like, what's your most comfortable position? Where do you feel the most confident, and where does that fit in your future with the Rockies organization?
Yeah, so for me, I kind of started bouncing around playing a lot of different positions this most recent year in college. And so that's something that I've kind of taken a lot of pride in, and, really just having something to perfect my craft in at practice every day. It's you can always hit every day and do things like that, but to challenge myself to take defensive reps in both the outfield and the infield is something that I really enjoyed, and it's something that I'm going to continue to do. And until obviously the time just I fall into a slot somewhere. But just I don't really think there's one that I feel more comfortable with over the other. So I think that's kind of the benefit and why it works for me, is that like I don't think there's a day that I see a position I'm like, oh, I feel less comfortable here. I wish I was somewhere else. Like that's just not really the case. And so I think they're just continuing to work and to feel comfortable in all those spots is kind of my goal.
Yeah. Oh, totally. That makes sense. And we all know about your offensive side of the game. You've got that big long swing. You're a very powerful hitter. Is there part of you that it kind of dreams of getting to use that power here in Denver at the Mile High City? At elevation. Is that sit in the back of your mind a little bit, that you might get to take some swings up at Coors Field one day?
Oh, no doubt. I mean, it's kind of impossible not to. It's something that's really fun to think about, and obviously something that's got to be earned. And so I'm going to continue to kind of keep my eyes on what's in front of me and taking it one game at a time here at whatever level I'm at. But that's 100% in my vision. Just being really excited about that, but earning every step of the way to get there.
Yeah, I was going to ask, have you ever been to Denver before? Is that somewhere that you've traveled to, or is that new on your travel list?
I think I've been to the airport, but I don't think I've been outside of it. I think I maybe connected through there, or landed there for a vacation or something, but I haven't spent a ton of time in Colorado.
That's unfortunate because the airport is about 50 miles from anything in Denver. But yeah, that's. I mean, it's a pretty touristy spot. I think a lot of people agree that the airport is at least something you got to check off your bucket list. But I wanted to ask, I wanted to ask specifically. A lot of players, especially young players, coming through an organization, talk a lot about people that had a big influence in their careers. Is there someone in particular or a group of people in particular that have had a significant influence in your career in getting to where you are today?
Yeah, 100%. The first people that come to mind for me are my parents. They're what helped me get into baseball and what helped keep me in the game. Especially my dad, just as far as keeping my head on straight and things like that. He and my brother were what got me into baseball, and so just having them in my corner at all times makes this way easier on me. And then there's a whole list of people that I can go through that help my actual physical game develop to where it is today, whether it be travel ball organizations, my hitting coach back home, and just the University of Georgia. There's so many people and so many people within those, like between those lines that have, it might not be huge things, but just little bits and pieces that help me become who I am now. That, I mean, it's honestly, it's a list that I probably would have to sit down for a couple hours to write down all the names on, but I've been lucky to have those people.
Totally. That's awesome. That's awesome, man. I gotta ask. I kind of saw in a news article, a few weeks back that something about when you're finished playing baseball one day, you might end up going back to Georgia to finish your finance degree. Is that something you want to pursue? Is that kind of a big part of your non-baseball side of life?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, I think my parents would appreciate me getting my degree, whenever that time may be. Ideally, it's not for the next 15 to 20 years, but I think that whenever baseball does come to an end for me, because it does for everybody, just having a plan to live a normal life after that, and so I think that, yeah, I can see myself going back to Georgia to finish that up. It'd probably look a little different than when the last time I was there, hopefully, but just it's something I'll keep in mind, but not too focused on it right now.
Hey, maybe even get a chance to be a part of that, Georgia baseball organization again from a different angle. That'd be pretty
Yeah.
cool. But hey, I gotta ask. I mean, so I wanted to kind of play this game with you. Run down a list of questions. A lot of the fans on Twitter were wanting me to really get to know you kind of beyond just the baseball side of things. So I've got a bunch of questions. Want you to try to answer them in like 10 seconds or less. And I'm just gonna kind of
Okay.
go down the list. So is that cool?
Yeah, let's go.
All right. Favorite MLB player, past or present?
Um, Chipper Jones.
Okay. What's on your sports bucket list?
Um, let's see. I would say world playing in the World Series.
It's a good one. Life bucket list.
Um, I would say just like raising a family.
Nice. That's a good one. That's a good one. I love it. What is a useless talent of yours, if you have any?
Let's see. I can juggle, but that's about it. I feel like most baseball players can do that, but it's pretty much useless. But also, you can at least say you can do it.
Yeah, I mean that is as pretty much as useless as it gets. What is the weirdest food that you enjoy?
Um, oof. Let's see. I'm not like extremely picky, but I also like don't eat incredibly outlandish foods. I'm trying to think. Um, I don't know. I like some seafood, which I mean, that's really not that weird about it. I haven't eaten like I'm not a big raw fish guy. Like I don't love like raw sushi or anything like that, but I like like grouper and good smoked fish like that.
I was going to say, yeah, growing up in Georgia, I don't know if Georgia's known for, seafood variety as much. So that's not a bad answer. I'll take it. What's the dumbest way you've ever gotten hurt?
When I was little, or not little, but when I was younger in middle school, back when Dude Perfect was hitting it big on YouTube, I was, throwing footballs and basketballs from way too far trying to make them in a basketball hoop, and I separated my growth plate in my elbow. Was in a cast for a long time trying to recreate dude perfect trick shot videos. So
Nice.
I'd say that was probably my dumbest.
That's good. That's a good one. Did you at least make it?
There might have been a couple in there, but I don't think it was anything that was going to rival what they had going on.
Not worth it, probably. Not worth it. All right, that makes sense. All right, last one on this. What is your irrational fear, if you have one?
Um, I'm really bad with snakes. Some people, I feel like it's not that weird of one, but anything snake related, it could be the most harmless thing ever. I'm just not, not going with those.
Okay, so no future with the Arizona Diamondbacks. Non-snake
Yeah,
related teams only. All right, that works. All right,
correct.
perfect. I appreciate that. Last few questions before we let you off the hook. Got a hypothetical for you. I've got 3 questions here based off this hypothetical. If you were to get called up to the big leagues today, 3 questions. What is your walk-up song that you're choosing? Who is the first phone call that you make? And who is the first current Rockies player that you would want to meet in the clubhouse?
Okay. Dang. Okay, so first walk up song, I think that's tough because I had the same one in college every year, but I don't think I'm moving on from that one. I don't know. I'd probably go something kind of beachy, kind of reggae. I don't know if I have like a specific one in mind, but
Okay.
maybe a Bob Marley, something kind of laid back. I
Nice.
would first call would 100% be my parents, without a doubt. And then player I'd be most excited about meeting would be um, probably either Chris Bryant, McMahon, Charlie Blackman, and then also I got to shout out my guy Aaron Shunk. I haven't met him yet, but I know he's another Bulldog, so it'd be
Oh
cool
yeah.
to get to see him.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I
I think that's my answer.
Nice. I'll take it. I think also Bradley Blaylock, although he did not go to Georgia, to my understanding, he was a Georgia kid growing up. So you got a couple
Okay,
Georgia
yeah,
kids out in Colorado. Hopefully you can get out here to Coors Field as soon as possible, man. Look, I appreciate you taking the time, and I know all of us in Denver are rooting for your success. We're keeping up on everything that you're doing, and we wish you nothing but the best. So thank you again for taking the time.
appreciate it. No, thank you for having me on.
Yeah, it's been fun. Good luck out there. That was Charlie Condon, everyone, joining us on the show. What a cool guy. Seems like a super fun dude to have on the team with you. And I know the Spokane Indians fans are loving him out there. He's just been fun to watch, and his offense has taken off as well. He's been putting up some good numbers. I just want to go through some of the stats that he had when he was playing in Georgia. I mean, obviously we know he was the first round pick for the Rockies, 3rd overall, went to the University of Georgia, like he said. But last year he led the NCAA in batting average with a 433 batting average. He had 37 home runs, a slugging percentage over 1.009. Like, the dude can swing it. And we love having him here in our organization. So we appreciate Charlie taking the time to talk with us a little bit. That's always good to hear from the up and comings. And look, we always say too, this Rockies organization is going to be built on people like Charlie, people like Chase Dollander, Drew Romo, Jordan Beck, Zach Veen, Yanquiel Fernandez. Like, these are guys that are going to be the future of the organization, and hopefully are going to be the guys that take the Rockies to the top one day, And obviously, baseball is a weird and wacky sport, and things move around a lot. But to have a guy like Charlie Condon in the organization, with your squad, so much fun. So much fun to have. So shout out to Charlie for jumping on, taking the time. I also know it's insanely busy right now. He said it to us before we got on the show that he's only had one homestand in Spokane. So, I mean, the fact that he's literally only had one chance, 1 week in Spokane since getting drafted by the Rockies, sent to Spokane. I mean, that's the life of a minor leaguer. He called in from his hotel and has just been on the move. And, we've done a lot of stories in the past about what life is like at the minor league level. Maybe we'll call in and talk to Charlie, in a future show and just talk about life as a minor leaguer, because it is a crazy life, the good, the bad, and the ugly. I mean, it's all mixed in there. And so, yeah, we appreciate him taking the time to chat with us today. But hey, got to take a quick moment and recognize some of our sponsors. Specifically, first, one of our friends over at Volo Sports. Volo Sports, if you're into the sports community here in Denver, like we are, and beyond Denver as well, you got to get involved with Volo Sports. They are the premier place to just get outside and have fun with a bunch of friends, get social, be competitive, and just have a good time. I know when I moved to Denver, one of the first things that I did was join Volo Sports through DNVR. My wife, Marissa, and I got involved with Volo Sports. We joined a beer in hand kickball league. Didn't even know those existed. That was a blast. So if you're involved in Volo Sports, though, you've got to jump on board with the Volo Pass, because if you are a Volo Pass member, what do you receive? Well, it's the modern day sports and social club for $20 a month. It's the best way to meet new people. You get active, you play games in the city. It allows unlimited access to pickups and league drop-ins as a sub. Includes league discounts of up to $50. You can travel with Volo Pass. It's got a bunch of perks. It is a good time. So sign up on the Volo app using code DNVR3 to get Volo Pass for only $10 a month for the first 3 months. That is Volo Sports, everyone. Also, we can't go any further without giving a shout out to our great friends over at Bet365. At Bet365, we don't do ordinary. We believe that every sport should be epic. And right now, new customers can choose between two offers when they open an account at Bet365. Use code DNVR365 to sign up, deposit $10, and choose between either a bet and get offer, where you place a bet of $5 or more and get $150 in bonus bets, or a first bet safety net offer by placing a bet of up to $1,000. And if your qualifying bet loses, you receive a matched refund in bonus bets. Whatever the sport, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 or older and physically located in Colorado. Please gamble responsibly. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, let's recap. Let's talk Rockies here on the show. Rockies had a tough series against the Nationals. They lost 2 out of 3 to their foes out in DC. They lost their last game yesterday 8-3, and got kind of an unfortunate milestone that they've hit on another season. With that loss yesterday, the Rockies have officially clinched their 6th consecutive losing season. And at 81 losses this season, they will have to win 16 of their remaining 34 games to avoid their second consecutive 100-loss year. So not the stats that the Rockies want to be putting up, but the silver lining that I've been seeing so far in this series that I don't think we've seen so far this season, really up until this past series, is that the Rockies have committed to the youth movement. And we've talked about it before on the show. You know, they're really getting involved with that here in this side of the season. But the Rockies bring up another young pitcher, Jeff Criswell, making his Major League Baseball debut with the Rockies, throwing a scoreless 7th inning on Wednesday night. Drew Romo, getting his MLB debut on, I believe it was last Saturday at the Todd Helton game. So he got his first true full series under his belt against the Nationals. You've got an outfield in Jordan Beck, Nolan Jones getting back into the lineup. Obviously, we still got the studs in Brenton Doyle, Rymack, Ezekiel Tovar, Brendan Rodgers. I mean, this is a young team that the Rockies are putting out there. So even though this is another losing season, I will say that the silver lining that we saw from this last series is that we got a lot of young guys out there. And I know they lost 2 out of 3 to the Nationals, who are a banged-up team. They're in a reconstruction phase, just like the Rockies are. But the Rockies and their youth movement, they're not going to be winning games at the same clip that we would expect them to be winning in 2 years. So I'm okay with the fact that the Rockies lost 2 out of 3 to the Nationals, because you're giving reps to guys that need those reps, guys that are in that position right now where you just need to be giving them experience, and these are low pressure situations, albeit Drew Romo's opening day, his debut, was probably not a low stress situation, given that it was a 50,000 fan sellout in front of Todd Helton, Peyton Manning, and company. But beyond Drew Romo's debut, for everyone else, it is a low stakes opportunity to get reps at the big league level. And I don't think this is the last time that we're going to see guys making their MLB debut. We saw Bradley Blaylock, who made his first MLB start in the Angels series just a couple weeks ago, got his first Coors Field start against the Padres, and pitched phenomenally. And I mentioned Blaylock to Charlie Condon because Blaylock another Georgia kid. He has been a blast to watch pitching at Coors Field. He's got that devastating curveball, slider. I believe he throws a sinker. Maybe it's a splitter as well. I'll have to ask him about that. But he is a phenomenal pitcher that I think the Rockies can lean on. And to my understanding, I think the Rockies so far have gotten the better end of the deal in that trade for Nick Mears. And I know, Rockies fans were kind of, you're always nervous when you trade a current player for a prospect, but Bradley Blaylock has been throwing lights out since making his debut. And I also think it speaks to the confidence and control that he has because, look, you're getting onto a team that needs you to be the future of your franchise. You don't need to be the star, but you need to be showing fans that they can have some excitement around you and that you're going to be a piece that adds to the future of this franchise. Bradley Blaylock so far in his first, I think it's 3 starts. I think it's been 3 starts, if not at least just 2, has been solid. And look, we don't need you to throw a perfect game either. We just need you to come in and get outs, get deep into a game, and limit the amount of time that your bullpen is going to have to throw because the Rockies bullpen has been brutal. And we all know that. And the bullpen didn't have a lot of success this past series. One of the downsides of the series, Victor Vodnik getting placed on the 15-day IL with some shoulder soreness. So the Rockies are kind of banged up right now. But that is a perfect opportunity for them to bring in some of those young guys, get out there and just see what they've got, and this can hopefully build some of that confidence, or if nothing else, get some of those jitters out of the way so that when you go into the offseason, you spend a full offseason kind of recovering and then getting ready for spring training and hopefully starting the season with the team next year. I mean, you look at guys like Jordan Beck, Nolan Jones. Nolan Jones is going to be there, but Jordan Beck, he's a young player as well. Drew Romo, same thing. I expect to see them on the roster for the Rockies if things go according to plan at the start of next season. And so get some of those early, MLB debut jitters out of the way now and roll with that through the rest of the season. Got to give a shout out to our manager, Bud Black, as Bud Black set a milestone officially on yesterday on, what is that, Thursday? I don't even know what day of the week it is. Thursday. Thank you, Yahir. It's Friday, man. We're still trying to keep up here. It's been a long week, but it's Friday.
When you talk to Charlie Condon, it doesn't matter what day it is, right? You're like,
it's an absolute blur.
It doesn't matter anymore. Your week is made.
Well, and Marissa's gone right now too. She's out in our in the wings doing some big stuff for the company right now. And so, I'm sitting here like by myself, got the house to myself, just me and the dogs. Got our first high school football broadcast of the night tonight. Who knows what day of the week it is?
The wives really do control quite a bit of what we do, and we don't realize it until they're gone.
I'm a mess, man. My floors are a disaster. There's hair everywhere. Not mine, the dogs. The house hasn't been vacuumed. The bed hasn't been made in years. It feels like it's a mess.
You should kind of keep that on the DL. Marissa is on in the chat.
She is on the broadcast, so. That's unfortunate.
Now you can't clean up and fake it before she gets here.
I can. I still got a week. She's not coming back till next week. So, we're getting through the week, all right? We're getting through things. And the Rockies are on the road this weekend, so I do get a couple days to kind of recover before going back to Coors Field. But going back to what I was saying, Bud Black sets a milestone. He becomes he becomes the leader for the most games managed for the Rockies on Thursday, passing Clint Hurdle with his 1,160th game. And so, take that as you will. Cool milestone for Bud Black. Obviously, for Rockies fans, our expectations are is that there's going to be more to that in the future that will, get some wins getting mixed into that column. Bud Black did start his tenure with the Rockies with a couple postseason appearances, so we give him credit for that. And I tend to be of the mindset that I don't really blame Bud Black for the challenging lineup that he's had to put together over the past few years. But that's a conversation we'll have here in a moment because I do want to talk about that. There's some other news around Major League Baseball regarding managers. And I think some of that relates to how the Rockies might move forward with Bud Black. So let's get to that in a moment. But first, we have to share some love with our friends over at Circa Resort and Casino. Check out Circa's Stadium Swim to watch the best sports action this summer. If you're getting out of town, look, I know school just came back into session. Maybe you parents at home, your kids are in school now. Maybe you get a little bit of time to get out of town. Kids are back at school. Maybe you just get to bring, the grandparents in and say, you know what, we're getting out. We're going to Vegas. Well, if you're going to Vegas, Circa Resort and Casino is the place to go. It's Vegas's first ever adults-only casino. That means you don't have to be going around checking IDs all day. You just get to walk around like you own the place. It's the world's largest sports book. They've got a 3-story stadium-style seating, tons of VIP seating, Dugout Club, Legends Club, Champions Club, all of the good stuff. They've got a huge casino, so if you're in Vegas for gambling, which why else would you be in Vegas? They've got a 7,000 square foot casino with 2 levels, over 1,300 slots, 48 table games with dancing dealers. It's a lot of tongue twisters here on this one. Stadium swim, lots of cool amenities there. Their resort, also very luxurious. 500 rooms with a variety of layouts, art from local artists. You can elevate your evenings at the Legacy Club or at any of their restaurants. It is really the place to be if you're heading out to Vegas. So, especially with football season around the corner, I know a lot of us are going to be wanting to get out to Vegas to go, get back into the sports betting world. Circa Resort and Casino has you covered, and we love hanging out with them. So thanks to our friends over at Circa Resort and Casino. Also, one of our greatest friends is Coors Light. We cannot go wrong with a nice, cold, refreshing Coors Light. And one of the toughest parts of the year right now is that it's still pretty hot. It's August. It feels like things are going to start cooling down, and then you wake up one day and it's 110 degrees, and you feel like you're melting. And you go and next thing you know, you've got tickets to go watch the Rockies play the Marlins at Coors Field. And how do you cool down? Well, the best way to cool down, in my opinion, is by choosing to embrace that chill mindset by choosing a cold, refreshing Coors Light. Crack open a Coors Light. You can head up to the rooftop bar if you're at Coors Field anytime before first pitch. They've got $3 Coors Lights. You can get 2 per order. It is incredible deal. I didn't know about that actually until this year. That was a eye-opener to me. I tend to go to games early anyways. I like to watch the warm-ups and stuff like that. But to now be able to go up and check out the Coors rooftop bar, get a nice view of the whole stadium, and get a cold, refreshing Coors Light beer, nothing better. So make the most out of the times you choose to chill. Choose Coors Light. Get Coors Light delivered straight to your door with Instacart by going to CoorsLight.com/DNVR. Celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company, right in our backyard here in Golden, Colorado. Well, going back to this youth movement I was talking about here for the Rockies, I talked about Jeff Criswell making his MLB debut for the Rockies, throwing a scoreless 7th inning on Wednesday. But there's an interesting storyline to Criswell. Criswell is just the 12th Rocky, and I say just because, it's not like it's that many. The 12th rookie to appear in a game in August, which is the most in any month in franchise history since August of 2019. The Rockies are rolling out the young guys. I mean, that is a perfect example of that. Criswell is the 12th rookie to appear in a game in the month of August, and that's the most in any month since 2019 for the Rockies. So I don't expect to see anything different moving forward. And as the Rockies get set to play one of the hottest teams right now in Major League Baseball in the New York Yankees, in New York, I expect to see the youth movement still in full swing. Drew Romo's still going to be your catcher. Jacob Stallings might get mixed into there. I know Romo's going to be wanting to kind of get his bat back in order. He hasn't really had the offense that we've been wanting to see from him. But again, he's young, and I'm not worried about that yet. So I expect to see more out of him this series. But hey, I got to give a shout out to Eric Simmons in the Toyota Super Chat, in the Toyota chat right now, asking, I think Condon can succeed. What do you think? I totally agree with you. I think Condon has all of the pieces to succeed. He's 6'6", 215 plus pounds, and he's athletic. I mean, I said it on the interview. He's built like a tight end. The guy can hit it 500 feet. And we've watched film of him warming up, in both doing batting practice. We've watched film of him playing at Georgia. He has a phenomenal bat. He's got the athleticism to be like a Michael Toglia, where Michael Toglia, he's 6'5", 6'6" too, but he moves like he's a 6'3" Brenton Doyle. I think Condon fits right into this Rockies organization. The only thing that I think could be, interesting to see where Condon fits in, and it's why I asked him what he feels most comfortable with position-wise, is the fact that the Rockies' outfield right now is stacked. And Condon seems to be getting shaped into an outfielder with within the Rockies organization. But the Rockies organization and their outfield right now has Jordan Beck currently playing in the outfield, Brenton Doyle, Nolan Jones in right field. That right there is a Gold Glove outfield as it is defensively. Then in the minors, you've got Yanquiel Fernandez, Zach Veen. You've got some guys that can get mixed in there, and then you add Charlie Condon into the mix as well. I just don't know where he fits in the talent that's there. And I think the Rockies are going to, kind of get into a place where they might need to start making decisions with some of the guys that aren't performing at the height, at the top level that, the other guys are performing at. And there might be some challenging decisions that the Rockies organization might have to make down the road where you say, hey, we'd love to keep a guy like Yanquiel Fernandez, but look, Charlie Condon's putting up better numbers, so we're going to instead trade Yanquiel Fernandez for maybe a pitching prospect or something like that. So that's where I see things getting, challenging. I also think, Condon said he could play third base. He could also play first base, but at the moment you've got Tolia locking down the first base side. Obviously, Rymack's got third base locked down right now. So the only hypothetical that I could think of if Condon was going to get called up to the bigs tomorrow would be maybe you see, Ezekiel Tovar or Rymack get moved over to second base, the other one play shortstop, and Condon get mixed into third base. That's maybe something I could see. But again, then you're getting rid of, Brendan Rodgers. There's conversation around that. That could be something that we see by 2026. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but, I think out of the three of those guys, he'd probably be the one to go. So I think that's the challenge with Charlie Condon right now is where do you put him? I don't think it's a matter of will he succeed. It's just a matter of where will he succeed in the Rockies organization. So that'll be interesting to keep an eye on. But going back to what we were saying about the Yankees series coming up, Yankees are red hot right now. And Aaron Judge, 48 home runs so far. Juan Soto, he's still incredible. This Yankees team is making a run. And they're putting the Orioles to the test as well. And the Rockies are going to be playing the Orioles here at Coors Field here soon in just a couple weeks. And so I'm curious to see how the Rockies play. This could go 50-50. This could go either way. The Rockies tend to play, historically this season, very good against good teams, excluding, the Diamondbacks, who they got swept on. But they tend to play good against good teams. The flip side of that is they tend to play bad on the road. So I don't really know. I don't really know what we're going to get out of the Rockies this weekend. I think they might play up to their competition against the Yankees. And I also think, it's a bunch of young guys playing dudes like Aaron Judge, Garrett Cole, Giancarlo Stanton, Juan Soto. Guys like this, when healthy, the Yankees are an incredible team. And so I like that they're getting kind of the young guys thrown right into the fire here, going up against a good team. We saw that in the Padres series, although I don't think the Rockies had fully committed to that youth movement yet against the Padres. So yeah, I'm excited to see this series. And I do think the Yankees are going to throw the kitchen sink at them because these are big games for the Yankees. The Yankees play the Rockies and the Nationals in their next two series. And the Yankees, like I said, are right in the mix in that AL race with them and the Orioles. And the Orioles are a very good team right now. Jackson Holliday's crushing it for the Orioles. And so I think there's going to be a very, very competitive race in that AL in that AL running. And I think the Yankees are going to throw the kitchen sink at the Rockies because they need to win these games, and they need to win the games against the Rockies and the Nationals. So tune in, guys. It's going to be a fun series, hopefully, against the Yankees, and hopefully the Rockies show up and play some good baseball. And it's a lot of fun to watch. But the Rockies, big series against the Yanks. All right, got to give a shout out to our friends though before we move on. At Shady Rays, they are my favorite pair of sunglasses because they've got so many things going for them. They're durable, they look good, they're affordable. Shady Rays is the go-to. Here, we've got Shady Rays too, just hanging out around the studio and in the office just in case someone leaves their Shady Rays at home. It is just a great pair of sunglasses. And I can never complain whenever I'm wearing Shady Rays because they have it all. They've got polarized lenses, like you can see right there on the screen. Shady Rays, if you use code DNVR, 35% off polarized sunglasses. I personally love this polarized glasses because I go fishing a lot. Maybe one day I'll see Charlie Blackmon out on the streams. But, until that day comes, I'm just out there by myself with the dogs. And I like being able to see into the water and see, where the trout are hiding in those little pockets of the streams. So for me, I love going with the polarized sunglasses, but really whatever you want. Athletic, casual, even kind of high-end looking sunglasses, Shady Rays has it, and they've got you covered. And as I said, exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out their best deals of the season. Head to shadyrays.com and use code DNVR for 35% off polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades that are rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. Well, we can't go any further without sharing some absolute love with our friends at Toyota. Toyota is the best cars on the market. Toyota has so many different vehicles that you can choose from if you're in the car buying world. And hey, look, you maybe have some kids going off to college. And if you do have kids going to college, I can tell you now, as a kid who was just in college, 7-8 years ago, so maybe not just in college, maybe I'm living in a fantasy world there, but felt like it was just yesterday that I was in college. You get to college your freshman year and maybe you're just like, hey, you know what? I don't need a car. I'll be fine. And then you get there and you realize, no, I need a car. I want to get out and do things with my life. You're going to be calling home to parents here soon, or you're going to be getting a phone call here soon from your kids saying, I need a car. And if you are going to be getting your kids that first car in college, well, Toyota is the way to go. They are safe. They are reliable. They've got SUVs if you want to get something that's, a little bigger and heftier to get a nice, safe car for your kids. Or they've got, off-roading cars like trucks and, or you can go a little smaller with the Toyota Corolla and Camry. My personal favorite, the Camry, is so sleek. But really whatever you want, they've got, and they're safe, affordable, and reliable. They offer 17 different models with available all-wheel drive and four-wheel drive. So if your kids are going out to college in in Montana, Colorado, up in the mountains, wherever, they've got you covered there. So it's a great place to go if you want to get a nice, reliable vehicle. And right now, be sure to head to all of your Front Range Toyota stores at a location near you. AutoNation Toyota, Arapahoe and Centennial, Corwin Toyota in Boulder, Groove Toyota in Littleton, Mountain States Toyota in Denver, Stevenson Toyota East in Aurora, Stevenson's Toyota West in Lakewood. Toyota is the official vehicle of the Rockies and of DNVR. Well, let's take a quick look around Major League Baseball. And I wanted to go back to something that I was talking about earlier when we heard that Bud Black got his officially became, the leader of most games managed for the Rockies in franchise history, passing Clint Hurdle. But we had some other news that I think I can draw some comparisons to, in the sense that the Seattle Mariners just officially announced that they are making plans to fire manager Scott Servais. If it's not already official, I think they already did fire him. But yesterday they had the news was broken by Ken Rosenthal that the Mariners were planning to fire Scott Servais. They put out announcements and everything like that. So it's pretty much official. Scott Servais is no longer the manager of the Mariners. Dan Wilson has been hired to replace him. But I wanted to bring up this point. Scott Servais has gotten fired after having 3 consecutive winning seasons. The first time, bringing the Mariners to the postseason for the first time since 2001, and bringing a postseason appearance to the city of Seattle. I would argue bringing some life to Seattle, the fan base. Again, I mean, the Mariners are selling out games, which they always have had a great fan base, but they're selling out games every single game. They're up there leading the division going into the All-Star break against the Astros. And you've put together 3 consecutive winning seasons, and Servais gets canned. Now, Bud Black, on the other hand, has had 6 consecutive losing seasons for the Rockies, including potentially 2 consecutive 100-loss seasons if the Rockies lose 16 or more games to finish out the year this year. And Right now, there's no conversation on Bud Black, on the Rockies moving on from Bud Black. And I think there's a lot of people out there that would say that Bud Black isn't the issue. And I'm not necessarily saying that's wrong. But I want to bring that up as a point of conversation, at least. Something for you to think about as the fan. Because I think it's worth noting. Now, my initial argument against that is that, look, there's different contexts. It's a different situation altogether. Mariners have very high expectations because they have 3 consecutive winning seasons in which you've gone to the postseason for the first time since 2001. And you have one of the best lineups in baseball on paper. And your pitching staff is the best pitching staff in all of baseball on paper. And you have your starters going 7 1/3, 7 2/3 innings, giving up 1 earned run pretty much every single game. And you're losing those games like 2-1 or 2-0. So, different context than where the Rockies are at, where they're rebuilding, they're reconstructing. So there isn't the same pressure on Bud Black. But I still think that there is going to start to be that conversation of how much longer are we going to see losing seasons compiled within the Rockies organization before eventually fans start calling for Bud Black to be fired. And I mean, there already are people who do that. I just think as a collective unit, Rockies fans as a whole are not like putting the blame on Bud Black, because we all kind of realize that like Bud Black isn't responsible for signing Chris Bryant to a atrocious deal or, you know, bringing in a franchise vision that is kind of all over the place and then having to reevaluate that every single year, thinking, oh, well, maybe we're going to be a playoff team in 2020 and then, you know, and then nothing happens. So again, I'm not saying that Bud Black is the issue at all, but I just think it's worth us noting that there are some pieces that are falling in very different contexts from around Major League Baseball that are at least worth considering. So interesting stuff there. Dan Wilson will replace Scott Service for the Mariners. They are in the thick of it right now. They started out the All-Star break 1 game up over the Astros. They are now 5 games behind the Astros and don't seem to be pulling it together. Their guys that they've traded for are not playing well. Dan Wilson, he's got a big task at hand. And the city of Seattle expects a playoff run, not just a playoff berth again. They've had, you know, a couple play-in games last few years. They expect a playoff run for the Mariners this year. And I think they will be pissed if they don't get that. So Dan Wilson has never managed a Major League Baseball team. And he's a player, a former player, played in the Mariners organization. So you never know. You know, sometimes those former players can get in and you know, get the team right. But we'll see. Mariners have a lot of work to do. The Astros are heating up too. Gotta give them. I hate doing this, but I got to give them credit. The Astros are heating up really quickly. Joey Votto announces his retirement, and that was pretty big. I mean, not to say that it was a huge surprise, but Joey Votto, he's a big player, and I think a lot of people, he goes under the radar a lot because he played in an era where, you know, there are still players playing from his era that are incredible players, and I think he gets overshadowed sometimes. But his stats are insane. One of the craziest stats, though, and I had to bring this up, Joey Votto saw nearly 36,000 pitches in his career in over 8,700 plate appearances. And in those 36,000 pitches, he hit a foul ball for an out just twice. That's insane. Like, are we aware of how crazy that is? Having 2 foul ball outs in over 8,700 plate appearances. That's one of those just like Nolan Ryan type stats that you're like, what are we even talking about? Also, like, that stat pisses me off because who the hell figured that out? Like, who sat there and said, you know what I'm going to look for? I'm going to look for how many times Joey Votto has flied out in foul territory in his career. And then they just happen to stumble across that and be like, oh my God, it's only been 2 times. Like, yeah, here, do you ever sit down? I mean, you cover the Rapids, you cover the Nuggets. Do you ever sit down and think to yourself, you know what I'm going to spend my 12-hour day doing today? finding some random stat that's never been researched before and hoping it's a gold mine?
I've thought about it, but then I remember I have a life, and I'm like, I'm not doing that today. There's more important things to go on. I've thought about like crazy stats that I want to find out, but I'm like, I just don't have time for it today.
It's one of those things that pisses me off because I'm almost kind of jealous. Not jealous of, you're right, not jealous of the amount of time that it would take to go through that, but jealous of like actually finding that. Like someone put in the work and found a really cool stat.
That's what it is. It's more like I have the same thought as you, but I'm just not putting in the work.
I'm just not going to do it.
Yeah, and you did it, so I'm jealous that you did, but I'm still not doing it.
And it's such a baseball thing too. Like we all know, stats run baseball. And I can't, I'm a words guy. I'm a communications major. I teach communications classes online. Like I don't do math. We don't math on this show. We speak. We write. We don't math.
We got into this business because we didn't want to worry about numbers unless it's our paycheck.
And I feel very imposter syndrome-ish sometimes being in a baseball world because baseball is all stats. But I'm just not that guy. Like there are other people who do the stats thing amazing, and credit to them. Those stats nerds out there, you are incredible. And have you seen those broadcasts for baseball where they actually have like the stats broadcast where it's like three kind of nerdy dudes, like just talking numbers the entire game? Have you seen ESPN do that?
I have.
Or MLB Network?
Yeah, I have, and I respect it. I think it's like such cool insight. Just could never be me.
Yeah, I watch that every once in a while because I do think there is a really fascinating side of baseball that is 100% stats. It's just not me. It's not the way my brain works, and it never will be.
Baseball's also just it's so methodical. It's so math-based in every angle of it that it lends itself to that kind of stuff too, right?
I'm a nostalgic baseball fan where I love the stories and the emotions, the history of baseball. I like hearing, really cool stories about just the different like mental approaches to baseball. This was an interesting one. I don't know if I'm going to get this right, but I was watching MLB Network the other day, and Greg Maddux was being interviewed, and he was going through his mindset as a pitcher, and he was talking. They were interviewing his catcher. I don't remember who his catcher was, but his catcher was saying they were facing this team that they were going to be facing in the postseason later that year, and they were facing this really, really good hitter. Again, don't remember his name, but catcher is saying, hey, I'm going to set up on the outside of the plate. This guy hits inside fastballs all day. I'm going to set up away from the plate, just stay away from the plate, and this guy won't hit it out. And Maddux calls the catcher out to the mound and says, hey, set up on the inside. And catcher's going like, why? I just told you, like, he's going to hit the ball out. Like, I don't want to throw an inside pitch. And he says, nope, like, set up inside. I'm throwing this pitch inside. And so he says, all right, fine, man. You're the pitcher. You know best. So he sets up inside. Hitter crushes it out of the park. And so the catcher's sitting there in the interview saying like, dude, what the hell? Like, what are we doing? I just told you that was going to happen. I could have told you that. And after the game, he says he goes over and talks to Maddux, and Maddux says, we're going to face that guy in the playoffs in like a month. And so he's going to expect that same inside pitch again. I don't care if he hits a home run today. I want to throw the pitch in a month when we face him in the postseason. So then a month comes around, postseason comes up, they're playing him, Maddux sets up, and he says, all right, stay on the outside. He strikes him out in 3 pitches on 3 outside changeups. And he calls the catcher out to him after that at bat, and he says, I told you. Like, that's what, do you remember? That's why I did that. And like, that's the stuff that I live for in baseball. Like, I want to know those type of mind games that these pitchers play on guys. I want to know, about the fans who had this like come to tears moment, getting to meet their favorite player. Like, that's why I watch baseball. The numbers are cool, and I respect those people immensely, but that's why I love baseball.
You're a vibesman, man. You fit DNVR perfectly. It's all about the vibes. You're not here to talk X's and O's 24/7.
Yeah.
It's about how you feel and what it makes you feel to be a fan more than anything, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I could go quoting baseball movies all day long, and that's going to Oh, that'll get me going. Don't get me started on that one. But hey, look, it's been fun. This has been such a fun show. We got to talk to Charlie Condon earlier in the show. If you missed it, I am going to be clipping and posting highlights from that interview on our socials at DNVR Rockies on Twitter, also on my own personal account at CJJ Saez. But look, here, this is our first show together, man. It's been a blast. Thanks for running the booth.
It's been first of many.
First of many.
That's the way we put it here, right?
Always. First of many. I love all of the producers that get to run through my show. But, I have to say, when, I saw that you and I were doing our first show together, I got some chills. I got goosebumps. The heart started beating a little faster, man.
The whole running joke between me and Marissa, right? I'm gonna steal you one day. And now it's getting closer. Hey, my dream is getting away.
She's out of town, man.
It can happen at any moment. She's not here. We're gonna make it happen.
You never know. Love it. Thank you guys so much for getting in on the Toyota chat as well. I always appreciate it when you guys are engaging. I know it's tough. Rocky season's grind. And we're in the dog days of summer right now. So I always appreciate the good engagement. But it's been fun. From myself, Christian Saez, super producer Yahir, and our entire team at DNVR, we thank you guys so much. This has been the DNVR Rockies podcast, brought to you by Bet365. We'll see you next week.
We all silly like the mayor.
Couple of things that I think might.
Yeah, but that's perfect. That's a good place to start. Well, thanks, man. Yeah, that was fun. That was a good time. Oh, now on to